Welcome to the United We Scan podcast, the podcast by rural carriers for rural carriers. The views expressed in this podcast do not reflect the views or opinions of the United States Postal Service or the National Rural Letter Carriers Association. We ask that you please consult your assigned union representative for guidance in your local area. Make sure you like this podcast, share with your fellow rural carriers, and subscribe to be notified each time a new episode is uploaded. Please rate this podcast 5 stars where applicable, and leave a comment or question for us below. Thank you. Now, here are the hosts of the United We Scan podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Episode 52. Holidays, weather, and we may be rambling a lot tonight. Bill is a little late to the party, as was I tonight, so we're getting started a little bit later, but that's all right. You won't notice it if you're listening tomorrow. Josh, how was your week?
It was a week. Had to finally file on not paying, processing correctly 8127s. So I sent that in. Found out from my ADR that they are going to actually cross-train all the ADRs to sit on their own step 2s, which will be nice because then we won't just get crappy language for settlements at 2, which are worse, weaker language than the step 1 that we got originally when it was filed for non-compliance. So that's a beautiful thing. Also was informed that my truck that's been missing since August is no longer my truck because somewhere along the line it got reassigned to the other office that they sent it back to. So it's been a fun week. Hopefully the next 2 weeks won't be as bad. How about you, James? How was your week?
Well, I think the next 2 weeks are going to be just as bad in terms of volume levels. Hopefully. I'm actually hoping for higher volume levels. You know, that OT paycheck is going to be really nice for me. You know, being on table 2 doesn't help things much. But I got about 5.5 hours of OT last week, above and beyond the evaluation that I'm at. They had me at my proper evaluation. It would have only been an hour of OT, but I digress. Packages were nice and heavy, so that's going to help my Rex evaluation next April, I guess it is. And other than that, you guys are jealous because I get my Saturdays off still, but unfortunately that doesn't mean I get any OT either. So looking for those nice Christmas paychecks, but
OT?
So yes, OT, overtime. You know, something that Bill won't get because he's way too over evaluated.
Yeah, but he still works over 48, so he'll get it. Yeah, I think the last couple years, the most I've gotten was 2 hours in 1 week, and one of those was for going over 12 hours a couple days during that week.
Last year, I didn't get any overtime at all last year on this route. And this year, I was impressed to actually be into overtime on the route. So
last year, go ahead.
Last year you were an RCA, but
I was racking in the overtime last year. My week was same old. I was into overtime by the time I hit Street Friday. I had added up my hours, plus I did a little extra OT a couple days this week helping out the newbie. And, don't mind going helping out the kid that's actually trying and doing okay, because we all know this is the wrong time of year to be brand new. And, but he's doing all right. He's hanging in there. He's not getting frustrated. He's taking it with stride. And, we just keep reminding him, dude, you get through Christmas time, it'll be cakewalk after that. So he's anticipating for that and kind of like, gosh, can it come quicker? But he's hanging in there. Unfortunately, our other new person who has only been doing parcel runs because they just finished academy a couple weeks ago is no longer with us. They did resign prior to actually doing their OJT, so That leaves us 2 for now. We'll see what happens. I am the next to get a sub when and if we get one hired. So, but other than that, my week wasn't too bad. The weather's been decent, so I haven't had to fight the normal white crap that we have at this time of year. So I'll take that.
You bitch.
Hey, Bill's with us. Hey.
My apologies. My apologies. It's been a weekend from hell. You know.
I went shopping today, so it's really fun because you don't know what size your daughter wears anymore. So she's got to try on everything. So you're buying her Christmas presents right in front of her. That's how it goes.
I have a daughter.
I have a daughter.
Oh,
You don't
okay.
have a daughter. I
say.
have a daughter.
I thought
my God.
I thought Kristen was your adoptive daughter.
That's kind of awkward.
Okay. But
oh, too
Hey,
funny.
Kristen,
No,
when
I actually had to get out of the house. I had to get the boyfriend out of the house, and we forced the daughter to go with us. So we went and did some shopping and went to dinner tonight, and so I was running a little behind too, but that's okay because we finally got away from the house for a change on my one day off. But other than that, my week's been all right. It is what it is. How was your week, Bill?
oh, it was one of them from hell. Let's see. We had parcels, more parcels, and then some more parcels, and then spurs and spurs and spurs and spurs and spurs.
Oh yes, I can relate on the spurs and spurs and spurs and spurs.
And then
Yeah.
on Friday, I actually got parcel help. So
Ooh.
my sub of record took my truck with my parcels and went out and delivered the big ones and left me, all the spurs. So on average, Tuesday to Saturday, I'll have 5, maybe 6 trays of DPS. Well, I had so much clerk mail, I didn't notice I was missing some pieces. So as I'm going out to the truck, I found 2 partial trays on the wrong shelf. So I took them to the street and delivered them. That was fun. I always hate that, but that was fun. Then I come back and there's another partial tray sitting on my case. No note, no nothing. All right, I'm going home. At 8 o'clock, I read a text from my supervisor saying, Postmaster expects you to deliver these. I sent a simple text back. Ha, 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 ha. I haven't heard anything since then, but they must be out of their goddamn mind. They really must be. I just can't figure out these people.
I hear you. I did get parcel help like 1 or 2 days. It wasn't a lot. I did say, please make sure you get me parcel help this coming Tuesday for the sheer fact that I have to drive 2 hours to my daughter's 7th grade band concert Tuesday night. So I said I need to go. And you've got to have me parcel help on Tuesday. That's the only day I require it this week. And my brother is nicely stepping up for me and picking up my son from the airport tomorrow night.
Yay!
Yeah, so I don't have to worry about trying to get down to Detroit by 10:30 tomorrow night, and then turn around and come home and go to bed and get up and then do another 2-hour drive. So that's actually helpful. So that way my son, when he gets home, he can get his car registration switched around from California because they keep insisting he needs emission testing. So he can get that transferred to Michigan and get his car legal, and then he'll have his car to drive while he's home for the month. Looking forward to seeing my kid next week sometime, probably next weekend.
Yeah, let's leave the car issue out of my conversation for the next 4 months, okay?
Oh boy.
Yeah. Don't start. Okay?
Okay, we won't.
Look, I'm upset enough reading some of the stuff on social media about the dumbasses in management coming up with these rules about, oh, you can't have delivery on Monday or Sunday, so you're gonna have to take it out on Monday. Well, where's that rule that you can't use your subs? I'm sitting there like, you can't be this stupid, can you? Can you really be that stupid?
That's a rhetorical question, right?
Yes, it is. It is
Yeah.
rhetorical.
We've
Okay, I just wanted to
decided
make sure.
we've decided we've got a couple regulars. We've got one in particular who's been going in on Sundays to deliver packages. She didn't make the new guy go in Sunday. He was actually kind of relieved. But I decided, coworker and I decided if we go in on any Sunday, it's going to be Christmas Eve because we're supposed to be getting a drop that day. And that way we can clear the complete office out and provide a service to our customers on Christmas Eve. That'll be the only Sunday I'm working Sunday on.
I mean, can you imagine reading somebody on social media saying, we're not delivering Sunday and we have 25 subs?
What?
Yes.
What?
What?
That's just cutting your nose off to spite your face. You're gonna end up paying those subs overtime anyway, and then you turn around and instead of paying the subs overtime at their lower rate, you're gonna turn around and pay your regular carriers overtime instead.
You know,
Yeah.
You want to pay me $67.85 to work overtime? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I'll take the overtime.
Yeah.
I'll work beyond 12 hours as a regular carrier on those days. Hell yeah.
You know, I just
Yeah, that's probably be my day tomorrow. But yeah, exactly. It's if you're gonna pay me the overtime, I'm gonna make sure you're paying me the overtime. I killed myself last year running my aux route on top of a full route, being the only sub in that office. I'm still pulling over 60 hours a week right now as a regular because I don't have a sub. So yeah, I get it. I'm just like, oh my gosh. I feel more worked now than I did last year, and I'm just running one route. But like I said, I go out and help the newbie when I can, so that's not a problem.
And
Well,
that's
I'm
what the
happy.
rural craft does. We help each other out.
I'm happy
Yep.
for you because I don't get overtime until I get over 62 hours. That's my route
62?
evaluation. Yeah,
Yeah,
my route evaluation is 62.39.
you have
That's
to
your
remember
standard
that,
hours.
yeah, Christmas overtime is based on the standard hours of your evaluation.
Yeah, but you see, supervisor feels bad for me when I put it that way. Played her ass like a deck of cards, baby.
Oh yeah, get that royal flush.
Something better flush.
Hey, I picked up a bottle of Screwball today while we were out shopping.
Ooh, I'll have a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just got a little bottle. I didn't get a big one.
Oh, what the hell?
Talking about such things, Kristen, you were saying that your kids at that age where you have to try everything on.
Uh-huh.
Well, due to being a single father of 4, when my wife was about your kid's age, my father-in-law would give them the credit card and send her and my sister-in-law out shopping for themselves. So they would go together, pick out all their stuff, and my wife would take her sister's things and vice versa to wrap them, and then they pretend to be surprised Christmas morning.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. I at least with my other daughter living, 2 hours away, I did pick up a few things for her, so she will be surprised. But with the one that's, lives at home, and the fact that she's lost almost 100 pounds, that, I don't know what
good
size
for
to
her.
get her. I don't know what to get her.
Right.
So we have to try stuff on because I don't
Right.
know. But yeah, no, we had a nice day out and I got back as soon as I could. So, all right, why don't we talk about this crazy weather that's been going on, James?
Yep. So I wanted to put this out there. We are praying for all our carrier brothers and sisters, as well as anybody else affected by the tornadoes that happened at the time of this recording yesterday and today. There has been videos and pictures of postal offices that have been hit by tornadoes. The worst one I saw was a video of a person on the back dock of the post office as the tornado rolled through, damaged LLVs, damaged POVs, and damaged postal tractor trailers. That was harrowing to watch, let alone know that somebody was actually out in a vehicle when that happened in that parking lot. Preliminary evaluation so far have it at minimum an EF3 tornado that went through Tennessee. So I wanted to talk about this because this is something that really gets under my skin when it comes to this job. And that is the fact of the lack of care for postal employees. There were reports from the carriers out there in that area that the only alert they got was the EAS alert on the scanner, and the scanner did not have any information about the tornado warning. And the other part of it is though we do have EAS alerts on our cell phones, the weather alerts have to be turned on by you. They're defaulted off, so you have to turn them on. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit because we are out in the weather. We are out in the elements. I've been in the LLV during a tornado myself on my route, and there are a lot of different things that we have to think about as carriers out there. And one of them, of course, is the weather. Now, we are in the winter months, although tornado reports don't sound like winter time. But in Dixie Alley and places like that, it is still possible to have severe weather while the Northeast is getting a snowstorm and things like that. I wanted to talk about best tips and tricks we have for getting information about the weather. Do you guys have any tips that you guys do to set yourself up for the weather?
Well, in my area, I've got a weather alert advisory from 3 of the news stations that pops up anytime anything severe comes up, whether it's flash flood warnings, severe wind, any type of thing. Because being out in rural areas, a lot of people don't take into consideration tree branches when you're driving underneath canopies, and next thing you know, your windshield's gone because a 4-inch limb came down on you. So I have that. I that's the only thing I use, and it's very accurate.
How about you, Kristen?
I do have the weather alerts turned on my phone. Main reason, well, I want to go back to the tornado that hit Gaylord, in northern Michigan. From my understanding, most of the carriers were back to the office when it hit. However, I do know of one that was still out, and he was in the area of the path going east of town, but he was all right. But, living on a Great Lake, literally, Lake Huron is 4 blocks from my house. There's times in the wintertime you can step outside and you just hear the waves crashing, and it sounds like you're living next to a freeway, but it's the lake. And yesterday's wind was pretty interesting along the lakeshore there, delivering. But yeah, I do definitely have the weather alerts turned on my phone. As for office-wise, yeah, nobody really pays attention to anything in the office. I'll put it that way. But I always check the weather forecast every morning too, just so I have an update on, am I going to be freezing my toes off, or am I going to be, sweating? It just depends. But yeah, I keep an eye on the forecast every day, and do have the weather alerts on my phone.
How about you, Josh?
Well, the one app I use for weather has the alerts come through through that app, which I use WeatherBug, because being at the time when I downloaded it, standing outside with no cover at a metal CBU, during the summer when we have them pop-up storms where you could go from like 95 degrees, then it's coming because it drops down to 70 degrees. The wind's picking up. It was the most up to date, like within a minute or two, on the radar of saying how close the weather is. And also, they have another sub app in there which tells you within the last 30 minutes how close the closest lightning strike is to your location.
Yeah, I have the WeatherBug app, and I use it specifically for the lightning tracking.
Yeah.
I have other apps as well. One of the big ones that I've seen around now, there used to be other versions of apps out there for this, but the latest one is Radar Omega. And I'll preface this by we are not sponsored by any of these products that we're talking about here, but we do use them, so we're talking about them. Radar Omega does do the alerting, does give radar and things like that. And it also has storm chasers on there that you can actually watch their live feeds and stuff too as well. But there's also other apps as well, like WeatherBug. on Android alone, the one I use and the one that actually gets the alerts the fastest to me is an app called WX. Literally just the letters W and X together. And it alerts my phone so much quicker than any other app out there. And it comes directly from the National Weather Service. And those are the only
I'll have to
people
check
that can
that one
actually
out.
give real alerts. Yeah. But just being able to understand the weather and learn the stuff and things like that. And even wintertime, they just came out with snow squall warnings. And here in Michigan, one of the biggest spots for snow squalls is I-94. It is a given that if there is a snow squall in Michigan, it is on I-94. And usually when it happens, there's a pileup.
Oh, 94 is horrible. And I don't even like driving 94 if I don't have to.
Yeah.
Also, what you get I-75 up in northern Michigan too, up
Yep.
in the UP and the northern lower, having lived in Gaylord and smack middle in the snow belt there. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
I have definitely delivered some mail in blizzard-like conditions. Let me tell you, that is not fun. Yeah, I've done it.
Going
I don't.
along in an LLV, and all you do is open the door, deliver it in the box, and shut the door because it's snowing so hard you'd be covered with the window
Well, no,
open.
I was POV. I was POV doing that. So that
Ooh,
was.
ouch.
And I had an older car, so I had the old crank windows.
You got a
Luckily,
hard
Dark.
out.
luckily my office does have the window covers for our LLVs. It is nice. It does make they're not perfect. Don't get me wrong. You do have that small opening there to service the boxes, but it definitely does help, especially along when I get the wind picks up along the lakeside and I'm driving north back up US 23 and I've got that wind coming in off Lake Huron. It definitely helped more than most will realize. But yeah, I definitely, if you live in an area where it gets cold, and I definitely reach out to management about getting those covers for those windows. I mean, they're easy to take on and take off, and they definitely make a huge difference once we started using them. I won't go a winter without one anymore. I almost took mine off the other day for the fact that it was supposed to be in the 50s, but I kept it on and just didn't run the heat.
Jar asked to explain what a snow squall is for a Texan.
So a snow squall is a band of snow that is so heavy it is to cause white out conditions to where you can't even see past the nose of your own car.
If that far.
If that far. Usually it's about the distance of your wiper blades off the windshield that you can see.
Yes.
And then you've got these vehicles flying down I-94 at 75, 80, 85, 90 miles an hour into that snow squall. And of course, because it's snowing so hard, it doesn't even have time to melt when it hits the pavement, even if the pavement is warmer than freezing. So yeah, you're sliding into a pileup, whether you like it or not.
Yes, you are. And like I said, I avoid 94 at all costs if I can anyways, but if I don't have to drive it, I grew up down in that area, so I learned the back roads real good.
Even in dry weather, 94 is dangerous.
Oh, because people just don't pay attention.
Oh yeah. But that's the biggest thing we wanted to talk about, because management at those offices didn't even bother to send an emergency text message to the carriers warning them about it.
And that's
And
when texting on the scanner is completely acceptable.
emergency situations are the only reason
Emergency
management should be texting you.
and safety.
Well,
Correct.
yeah. Yep.
And messaging people, telling them that they've got packages left at the office, messaging people, telling them you're going to pick up overtime when you get back to the office, or any other reason, dilutes the message feature. It literally causes you to ignore the sound. And when it is a life or death situation, management should be on top of that, protecting their carriers and caring about their carriers. But we all know management doesn't. And I know Bill would love to get in on this, but I'm saying it here. Management does not give two shits whether you are alive or dead on your route. They'll put somebody else in your truck the next day without a problem.
Oh, they'll
and
put
not even.
somebody in the truck the same day to finish the route if they have to.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, are you talking about the escaped Brazilian prisoner from Chester County Prison who killed 2 people and they never sent our carriers alerts? That
Well,
management?
that.
Is that,
Well,
yeah,
that, and
it's
then
yeah,
we had
right.
the one down here. The one down here that was mental, possibly armed, barefoot, running around. So
It
I mean,
wasn't
there's all
me.
kinds of different things. I know
yeah.
because they weren't wearing a pink thong, Bill.
Oh, okay. Damn.
Oh, we had that one from Florida that was running around in the vicinity of R6 that day I was out there, and I saw 2 state troopers parked off one of the side roads and wondered, wonder what's going on out here. And it was after the fact that they found out about it when they took him down in one of the customers' backyards. And he was wanted out of the state of Florida.
That goes back to my Friday evening when I got back and there's a partial tray of DPS there, and I get home and I read a text on my phone, my private phone, from the supervisor saying the PM expects me to deliver that. Like I said, ha 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 ha.
Yep, I'll
You know,
deliver that Monday. Yep, I'll deliver it on Monday.
yeah, my girl took care of it on Saturday.
Oh, well, even better.
Yep, you ain't lying.
So that's why we wanted to talk about this, is because they're not going to message you. Your scanner is probably not going to alert you in the right way. So you need to have a way to get those alerts, whether it be on your phone or even if you go out and buy a handheld weather radio, because those weather radios will give you those alerts plus other EAS alerts if needed. That's what they're designed to do. And you can set them for wherever you are, for your county, or you can just have the general weather radio scanning on the feature. But have a way to get those alerts, because I don't want to see any carrier. I don't care if you're city, rural. I don't care if you're a clerk. I don't care if you're a janitor, any of that. I don't want to see anybody that works for the Postal Service get killed because they were not alerted by the weather. You guys are too important to us to have something as minor as a weather alert not given to you. All right, enough about that sad topic.
Let's talk
So,
about driving in that bad weather. Folks, let me tell you, after 25 years, I will give you scientific proof that LLVs and FFVs in snow are magnetically attracted to mailboxes as you pull away.
yep.
No matter which way the road tilts, your rear end's always going to go for that mailbox.
Coming up to it, your nose is going to pull to the right too.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
your nose will go after it as you're stopping.
yeah, I just drive right up on the lawn then, Keep
But
it
no,
going, don't lose traction.
if you feel like you're gonna lose it and hit the mailbox or do something else, skip the mailbox.
Yep.
It's not worth it to sit there and wait 2 hours for them to bring a hook to get you off the mailbox, which I've done. Or like I did a couple weeks ago, I ended up actually stuck right next to the mailbox. I didn't touch the mailbox, but I was right next to it. And when I tried to rock it back, it slid closer to the mailbox. I'm like, nope, I'll just take a hook. And the hook got me out, got me on the crown of the road. I took off and kept delivering. But your safety is your responsibility. You are the captain of that ship. You're in charge of that truck or car or whatever you use to deliver the mail. And if you feel it is unsafe, what do we do, Bill?
File a 1767 and then file.
If they argue with you.
Hey, look, the one nice thing about the 1767, you're the only one who's there that can make the determination of safety or not. They can't. They cannot give you any idea what you're driving into, what the road conditions are, the road bed is, the around the mailbox. You have to make that determination, and your safety is more important than any damn package. Your vehicle, not getting trashed trying to deliver something because it's coming out of your pocket, not theirs.
Yeah, and on top of that, you are the judge of your own skill at driving. I don't expect anybody from Texas, Florida, Louisiana, any of those states to be able to come up here and drive in the conditions that I drive in, or that Bill drives in, or that Kristen drives in. Just the same, I would expect that the Texas, Louisiana, and Florida people would not expect me to be able to handle the heat as well as they do, because I'm from a colder climate state. Your driving is based on your skill in your area, and you're the best judge of your own driving ability. Although most people overestimate their driving ability, including myself.
Well,
Just remember.
It's the same thing that, like you can be in a snow state. You don't have to get a lot of snow, but if the one side of the road, there's an embankment and snow's getting piled up and drifting there, that's a lot different than, you go into town and there's 2 inches of snow. Well, it's not drifting there. Okay. You go out to New Mexico. How many times have you, come across a scorpion in the mailbox or anything else, an armadillo in Texas?
Or a
Different
dust storm.
parts of the country have different precautions that you have to exercise because of, where you're at. And it's up to you to make that sound judgment, not management.
Right. Well, I remember 2 years back, I was when I was still in RCA covering a route that we had gotten snow like 4 days or so before that, but on this one road had a lot of trees, canopy, so it was constantly shady. So you come around a bend on a downhill, and because of all the shade, it didn't melt the ice yet on that bend, which is a downhill slope. And I lost traction in the road. I was able to stop the truck with the mailbox post dead center of the bumper, and I was about 2 or 3 inches from hitting the box. I just put it in park, hit the e-brake, cut the engine, called back and said, "This is where I'm at. I am not trying to move this truck. You can come out." And the station manager came out with the maintenance guy to move the truck, to move the truck and get it back on the road, because I wasn't going to have that accident on my record. And of course, the manager didn't tell the maintenance guy to bring rock salt to melt the 2 inch of ice that was under the truck. So they're just sitting there beating it with his wrench to try and chip it away.
Well, it's like my subs, I taught all of them, in the, because I have an FFV. You have snowy conditions, and with these vehicles, even with chains on the rear wheels, you put it in second gear, you take the overdrive off, and you drive slow as possible that you need to approach a mailbox correctly. But just like teaching my boys how to drive, if you have one inkling of doubt of what you're doing, that's the time when you break away and say no more. Because as soon as you start to doubt yourself, you're going to press, and that's when you're going to have an accident, whether it's hitting the mailbox or a parked car or anything else. Right. So, once you lose that confidence driving in bad weather, then you're at risk.
Right. And bad, I'm fine with bad weather. I grew up in Philly, so I know what the weather conditions are. It's just like I said, on a bend downhill on a downward slope, thick patch of ice that hadn't melted. Everything else in the whole area, is gone. I'm like, I am not trying to move this vehicle, because if I do, I know it's going to slide in and actually tap that box. If I'm lucky, it's only tapping it. You know what I mean?
Right now, management's pushing everybody to get everything out every day and do second trips and all that. Folks, when enough is enough, your body's going to tell you. Your mind's going to tell you. Your instincts are going to be on alert. And that's when you sit there and say, okay, I'm done for the day. I mean, last Monday, I did 13 and a half hours. I came home, ate my dinner, and fell asleep sitting there eating my dinner. I mean, normally a 13-hour day isn't nothing, but I mean, you're in and out, you're moving packages around, you're trying to find them, everything else. Even though I have a good system, guess what? It wears you out. And when you're dismounting 100 to 120 times a day for these packages, it wears on you. It really does.
That, and because there's so many of them, at least 6-7 times you have to go back there and rearrange them just to get them back into some semblance of order for at least the next couple streets.
That's had one customer. I came to the back of a truck to get this package, and he looks at the back of my truck, and I have that bungee truck cord in the back holding the back end of my deliveries
netting,
up to the
right?
ceiling, right? And he goes, "What's that?" And I says, "That's the back half of my route." And he says, "Oh, you're fucked." I said, "Thanks a lot." He says, "You want to come in and get a drink now?" Oh, but hey, that's the kind of customers I have. They speak the truth just like I do. You might not like it, but it's the truth.
Yep, at least they're honest.
Yeah. You may not like me, but that's okay. I'm an honest person.
Talked about the weather. Now we're going to talk about this next 2 weeks, what we're going to be dealing with, how we're going to deal with it, and what's going on.
Only 2 more Mondays to go. Woohoo!
Then I'll know what it's like to have 2 days off. Well, unless I go in on Christmas Eve. So yeah, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Christmas Day. Wow, what's 2 days off in a row like?
Yeah. Oh, I did go and message Corey. He said that he was fine in his area. It passed right by them.
Awesome.
So that's
Awesome.
a plus.
Yeah,
Wow.
2 more weeks of Christmas overtime, guys. Let's see how these pan out for us.
Well, I'm inspired after seeing the president's video.
No.
Oh,
I don't think
I
James
don't-
wanted to hit that rabbit hole.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
I am sorry, but when the curtain behind him had more emotion and movement than the
Ooh.
person speaking,
Who was obviously reading off of a teleprompter or something.
was reading something, or I don't know, it almost looked like a ventriloquist dummy talking, but
Oh, you didn't see Jeff Dunham there?
I was
At
going to
least
say,
it
was
would've been more
it
entertaining.
was his eyes taped up or was it the Botox injections?
I don't know what was going on. But to me, the conversation did not flow smoothly. It did not feel genuine. It almost felt like our response to fan mail.
Yeah, it really did.
Fully read, no emotion, it felt ingenuine, would be the way I would put it.
No real heartfelt concern for the carriers that have their feet on the ground.
No, and if you're going to give out a holiday message, especially talking to a craft that needs motivation, it needs support, it needs somebody to give them a little bit of boost of energy on what they're doing, that was not how you do it. He had more emotion at National Convention than that.
Yeah.
Well,
A little
'cause
I
bit.
definitely
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm going to leave that one alone.
and I definitely did not take the time to count how many times he licked his lips this time. But when you are trying to, especially
James?
when you're doing your first message, to the craft on video. Granted, he's put 2 messages out. Let me rephrase that. He's put half a message out to people in 2 editions of the magazine, because the first one was 100% only about the decertification. The second one was half of a conversation and then more about the decertification. I'm waiting for the next one to see how much of this one he talks about the decertification, but we'll see. But when you're giving out your first message, do it with passion. Show us that you have fight in you. Show us that you care. Show us that you're earning your almost $200,000 a year paycheck, instead of sitting there and droning on with no real inflection, no real emotion, and no real motion either.
Well, I know everybody else was looking for some inspirational guidance, maybe a little hope that we're going to turn the corner on management and make them accountable. But when I got done that, I woke up and my battery wore down. That was just short of torture.
I mean, when I did my breakdown of it, I watched the video first, all the way through, straight through. Listened to every single word he said, how he said it, and thought about why he said it. Because whoever wrote this was trying to convey a message without the words. And I don't think that it was conveyed properly when it was spoken to the public. I'd be happy to sit down and have a conversation with them about what they were actually trying to achieve. Off the record, of course. I don't want it on record, on recording or any of that stuff. They can have a conversation off the record with me about what they were trying to achieve there. But I really didn't see any achievable goals in what they said.
Well, I was waiting for them to tell us how the test trials were going in regards to being able to cut routes.
That too.
Because from what I've heard, they've all failed.
Yep, that's what I've heard too.
Well, from what I've heard is they were on paper, they were fine, but however, they keep picking offices to test that for one reason or another, they can't do them.
Well, the reason why they
they
can't
will-
do them, the reason why they can't do them is before you only had 30 points to figure out how to cut a route to 43K from a 48 or higher. Now you have 120 points to figure out, and you have to figure out the mail volume for each and every single mailbox that you remove from that route. Because if you don't,
Well-
then you're going to either cut them too far or you're not going to cut them back enough. And I can
I
tell
want
you,
to say
I can
the
tell
other
you
thing-
from my office, a route got castrated just before the first count. Castrated by an idiotic PM who was acting as the rural person to do the editing for the routes. Absolutely gutted. And I am actually surprised that at the second mini mail survey, his route didn't go down to an off route. That's how much he got gutted by this idiotic PM. This new system has to account for your volume factor, your package volumes for each address, everything involved with that, because now it is such a risk to do that. And then on top of that, after they cut your route, your evaluation still has a year before it's going to go back down, because even when they cut it, it's still showing all those past parcels and mail volume that you had on your route. So it's still going to take 2 or 3 evaluations before it goes back to its regular amount, unless they come up with some new system to actually translate that volume over to the other route. I just don't see it actually working right, even if they try to get it to work by this next mini mail survey in April, because there are too many factors that they haven't accounted for.
Well, I was just going to say that to you. They won't know what they can basically guesstimate what needs to come off or get put on to get you to get to whatever that ideal number is that they're looking for. But it'll take 52 weeks of data to find out where they're actually at, where the route actually landed.
Yeah, and I mean, you're looking at factors that they need to have set in stone for these cuts. And the problem is, as you've seen in every time we've had management talk about things in front of us, they don't bring up rural numbers. They bring up city carrier numbers because they don't have that information. They don't have that data. So how the hell is management going to be able to do these Rex cuts when they don't even have the information available in a spreadsheet that supposedly is going into these evaluations?
Right now, it's a limited team that has access to do them.
Limited team
Whether-
as in one person that doesn't know their butt from a hole in the ground.
No, it's actually, I think it's 8 or 12 people in the department
For the entire
That-
country, though.
for the entire country.
Yeah, that might as well be one person.
That's it. And when they go into an office to do them, they have 2 weeks, one pay period to get it complete, to get everything, to look at everything for all the routes and get it, to complete it. And the line of travel has to be rewritten, every single line by line. It's not like the old where they can go into the 403 and just delete these 4 lines, add 2 more lines, jump down further, delete 7 more lines, add 2 lines. They have to rewrite it from scratch.
Well, I'm not going to buy into this horse shit until they get it straightened out, because Rex is a fraud just on one aspect. Your average speed, okay? How do you dictate average speed when a third of the country is out in rural routes where you have unpaved roads? You know, you have graded roads. You're not traveling graded roads at 35 miles an hour.
Oh,
You know?
Lord, no.
No,
Some of those you feel like you're speeding and going too fast at 20-25.
Yeah.
I've driven those roads. I know.
So, you can take that speed matrix and just blow it out your ass. In the same way, with the letters. I mean, what's it, 86 a minute? And somebody had said last week that, the machine's only doing 70 a minute. Well, how can we do them faster than the machine?
Exactly. Apparently, rural carriers are better than machines.
Apparently, I'm not, but some are.
Well, good on us for being that efficient and fast. Now, if we could just get management to be that efficient. Oh.
Well, Jar, he has a question about less than half a second for stop sign. It was allegedly put in there at that because most rural carriers don't come to a full stop, but the post office put in that time factor for stop signs just to show that they don't condone our rolling stop sign.
Actually, it's been recalculated. It's 3 seconds per stop sign.
Again? I didn't even see that one.
You got to remember, they just updated it.
Oh,
meanwhile, I have private roads that don't have stop signs at the end of them, but they come out to a US 23, and there's times where I'm sitting there for a good 30 seconds to 2 minutes waiting for traffic to clear so I can pull out.
Yeah.
And then you also have to think about what is the state law for that. State law says that when you are leaving a private drive or a parking lot, that you have to come to a complete stop before you pull out onto a main road. But yet there's no stop sign because guess what? It's law that you have to stop. But management won't allow you to put a stop sign there if there's no stop sign actually in the ground.
Yep, I know, because I had to go back through and fix mine. And then I like the part, like I said, I'm on US 23, and I love where I get to, all right, go to this box and retrace. No, there's no retracing. That's 5 lanes. That's 2 lanes going both north and south and a turn lane. I literally have the other road. I have to make a wide turn and back into it so I can wait and see if traffic is clear in order to make that left-hand turn so I can retrace. There's no way. I mean, and then I have at the south end part, I literally have to wait till traffic clears so I can pull out into the lane and then pray to God somebody pays attention to me as I'm waiting for northbound traffic to clear so I can make that left-hand turn onto that road so I can then turn so I can retrace. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, or if somebody stole it.
Mm-hmm.
I have one on my route that luckily there's 2 stop signs there, but one of the stop signs is gone. If it was the only stop sign there, guess what? Management would make me remove the stop on my mapping because the stop sign's gone, even though the pole's still there.
And I have, like I said, I have a lot of city crap on my route to where I have to pull into the parking lot to get to their mailbox and then pull back out to get to the main road. And like, again, I am sitting there many times for upwards of a minute or 2 or longer waiting on traffic to clear before I can continue on. And how does that affect my drive matrix,
Or you can have a townhouse development like I do, where there is actually 2 stop signs for 9 different intersections. So I don't even get a traffic control point for where I have to pull up and stop to look both ways to get back out onto the main drag going through the townhouses.
Yeah. I mean, there is so many, each individual route has its own individual nuances to where you can't have the drive matrix to say, well, this is your average speed. No, that's not going to be that may be my average speed on a Saturday morning when traffic's not heavy, but that's not going to be my average speed on a Friday while I'm waiting for traffic to clear, especially in the summertime when you got everybody coming up north on Friday. It's ridiculous.
Well, that'll just teach you to drive during rush hour.
Well, sometimes you can't help that,
Oh, I
Sometimes
know.
rush hours all day long in my town. Oh yeah, or those rural routes where you get stuck behind farm equipment. It, I've had that where I had to, get stuck behind the combine going down the road because they take up the whole little narrow road and you're stuck behind them because there's no place for them to pull off and there's no way for you to go around them. That does,
Or the county road grader making the road smoother for you.
Yeah, that too.
Can't
Or the
forget
plow
those,
trucks. I
Yeah.
remember up in Gaylord, the plow trucks when they were scraping the side and they come up behind me and I used to have fun because then I would purposely go a little bit slower just to piss them off until I got a point where I was pulling off they could go around me. But oh yeah, or the garbage trucks. I leapfrog garbage trucks 3 times a week.
Our garbage men are so mean. They will take garbage cans and literally put them in front of the mailbox, even of customers that put them on the other side of the driveway.
Yeah, or they stick them way out to where you literally gotta wait for traffic to clear to go around the garbage can. Or construction zones. Oh, don't get me started on that. They're going to be doing the bike path this next spring, summer, that going on 23. That's going to be not fun.
Well, half a mile from Westchester Post Office is a reservoir, and anywhere from late October to maybe the middle of December, we have goose crossings. And there's nothing like sitting there trying to explain a stationary event for a goose crossing.
Or or waiting for the turkeys to clear out. Like that picture I posted, a couple weeks ago when we got the snow and I had, a flock of 50 turkeys out, in the middle of the road. And I'm like, okay, guys.
Oh, come on, that's bitter.
I'm going to make you fly.
I
I made them fly, that's for sure.
I do remember that one turkey on Facebook where it attacked the mail carrier.
Oh yeah, we had that happen in my old office too. Turkey went after a carrier. Oh yeah, it happens.
I remember seeing a video a few years back of the turkey chasing the carrier around the truck.
I had to stop for chickens the other day because I know what house they belonged to, but they were in the yard of the house across the street. And then they decided they wanted to cross the road in front of me. So I'm like, all right, come on, let's go, guys.
Well, I stopped for chickens.
Why didn't they cross the road?
I stopped for chickens once, but it was at Chick-fil-A. Get it? Cackle, cackle.
Yeah, I had a house that had peacocks on on the ox route, and that was always fun in the summertime when they were running around. They'd be up by the mailbox. I'm like, all right, guys, move, please. They made more noise than the dogs did when I'd pull up.
Oh yeah, they're great guard animals.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they are not quiet.
No, they are not. No.
Last time we were home and went to the zoo, because the Philadelphia Zoo has the peacocks roaming free. They had something there, and there was a mirror, and the one was fighting the other peacock in the mirror, and he was not quiet.
Well, since we're on holidays, weather, and ramblings, I got a rambling. How about that?
Go for
That's
it.
fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, we talk about, getting the right delegates to go to the national convention and elect a new national board, a board that cares, that understands, and has experienced our woes every day. Just bear with it, please. It's a drawn out process to get rid of these folks, but we have to work within the confines of the system that we're involved in. Don't give up. I know, especially this time of year, there are so many people just, shaking their heads. Some people are walking off the jobs. Some people are just retiring. And, it breaks my heart that the post office can break us. Now, I don't understand everybody's individual situations, and I empathize with you. But as a craft, we have to stay strong. We have to file. We have to grieve. We have to fight for ourselves, for others, and we have to make management toe the line as much as they demand us to toe the line. Get educated. Read the contract, the M38, the PO 603. Learn your right and fight, because it breaks my heart. It does. You see some of this stuff on, oh God, at least 20 different social media platforms where people are just downtrodden. I mean, they're beaten, and they're at the point of giving up. Don't. We're here. You can message us. Anybody wants to reach out, do so, because we need you. The only way we're going to change this union back to representing the craft is if you stay involved, be active, and get your ass to the national convention so we can change the national board back to representing the craft. Amen.
I completely 100% agree.
I agree with that too, because the worst is here. What we're dealing with right now is the worst that we deal with. Hostile management, creating a hostile work environment for carriers left and right. Carriers only get 5 mistakes at most. Let's just put it that way, at most, before they're terminated. Management can get 35, 85, 150 mistakes, and even the worst ones can have the most awful of mistakes. And maybe they'll get a 14-day in-office suspension. Maybe.
Or they'll just get moved.
But they'll still be doing the same things over and over and over. And upper management doesn't realize this. And our union is supposed to be there to put their foot down. And the only way we can get people in there to put their foot down is to get delegates at these conventions, state and national. Because your state is just as important as your national. Your local is just as important as your national. You need to be involved if you can do it. If you can't be a delegate, vote. If you're not a member, if you're not a dues payer, become one and vote. Your voice is the most important thing of this union. The leadership should be listening to your voices. They should be listening to your concerns. They shouldn't say, we've had it too good for too long. That carriers have been getting paid 45, 46K when they've been getting off at noon. Things like that. The craft needs to be taken care of by the leadership, and the leadership needs to listen to the craft, because without the craft, there is no leadership.
I sorry, I don't mean to interject, James.
Go ahead.
But listening to our friend and the other podcast, Fed Up, he makes a good point. There is no union without you. You is the first letter of union, and you are the union, not the national board. They are supposed to represent you, the union.
Not the national board, not the executive committee people, not the national steward system. They are not
the state board.
The union,
Not the state boards either. They're supposed to be there for you.
We still have some state presidents who still deliver mail.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So
there are part-time state presidents out there that are still working their routes.
Yep.
They're still dealing with the same things you and I are dealing with. But there are some that have chosen different paths in the union that taken them off their routes too. There are some people that went straight from RCA into full-time union duties. There are some people that chose to get off their routes after they left a leadership role and couldn't hack it. And so they went back into a full-time union role before being elected to a position again.
Do I have permission from our board here to mention the NSS going ons?
Go for it.
Go right ahead. Everybody
For,
deserves to know.
Sure.
Yeah, for all the listeners involved, the National Steward System has removed the DR from my district, and they have named a new DR from another district. The problem with the whole situation is that in the course of 6 months, they've lost 2 ADRs, myself as a local steward, and now the DR, and they're replacing it with somebody who aligns with their mindset. This is a career individual who almost every year is on a national committee at the national convention. So they're fortifying themselves. Basically, they're circling the wagon, and it's because of our podcast and other podcasts, the Decertify Union. They are scared, and if we want change, now's the time because we have them rattled. When your president comes out and points the finger at the carriers for not learning the rec system, for blaming the carriers who have not taken advantage, but utilized their skills under the evaluated system to work under the evaluation, where they blame us for not having the wherewithal perform the duties and keep our routes at the levels that they were. This is telling you something, folks. They're worried, and trust me, I'm putting in a couple resolutions that's going to piss a lot of people off because I don't think the national board should be earning, on average, 3 times what our carriers are making, 4 times, and 5 times if you're a table 2.
Plus having housing provided for them.
You know,
Yep.
like our Constitution says, we have to furnish housing for the national officers. It says nothing whatsoever about providing furnished housing for the national officers, including their $3,100 colonial desk or 65-inch TVs or their $6,000 mattresses. No, folks, everything else is paid for. You don't need to be making almost $200,000 a year to represent us in the fashion that you are.
Especially if you
Earn-
haven't carried mail in decades. If you haven't
If
had
you-
your feet in an office, running a route, dealing with these atrocious scanners, Amazon, hostile management. You haven't dealt with these directly, boots on the ground in decades. How can you
Yeah.
represent us properly?
Speaking of listening to Fed Up, and although it was a city carrier, he went his last episode. He went into another office to do an investigation for the union about hostile management, and the guy got the cops called on him multiple times for going into that office to investigate. Why isn't our leadership going into offices like that, sending people in to investigate these things, sending people in to find out why these offices are having such a bad time? There is a reason we have a joint statement 4-40, and it's very close to me. Royal Oak, Michigan is not that far away from me. And if you want to know why Joint Statement 4-40 exists, look up Royal Oak Post Office and the situation that happened just before that statement was issued. Management going down this line is going to create another Royal Oak incident. And our union is letting it fall on deaf ears. Our leadership is letting it fall on deaf ears.
How many times, Bill, have we seen carriers go to the microphone at National Convention and plead for help in tears because of the way that they have been treated in their offices?
Well, remember that lady 2 years ago that got up there and, we're investigating. I bet you she's probably quit already. I mean, you just wanted to go to her office and smack the PM around. You really did.
Yep.
I mean, that was short of traumatizing, but nobody should be treated like that, especially a grown-ass adult.
Carriers should not have to be on a convention floor in tears, pleading for help. Pleading in tears for
Yeah.
help because of hostile management. I have seen it in person, firsthand. So has Bill, numerous times. And
Yeah.
I'm putting me and Bill out there because Bill's been to more conventions than I have, but we have been to several national conventions, whereas James and Josh have each only been to one. But when you see it every year from not just one, but multiple carriers pleading for help.
I've seen a postmaster that is that exact type too.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I've personally met one, and I guarantee you that those types of managers are the ones that create incidents like Royal Oak. And Royal Oak was because of somebody who got so harassed by management, by their supervisors and the postmaster, that that's what they did. I'm not condoning that activity, just putting it out there that that's why it happened.
Well, I've had a postmaster in my office screaming at a carrier up to the point where I walked over and gave the carrier a grievance form. And he turned around and screamed at me, and I says, "Do you really want to do this on the floor?" And he goes, "What?" And I says, "Have this temper tantrum, hostile work environment, threatening attitudes." I says, "Because, I've got plenty of grievance forms down here." And I says, "I don't mind filing EEOs." I says, "But if you want to take this conversation in the office, you're welcome to." I said, "But you're not going to do this on my floor. This is my office." I said, "This is my floor." And he walked away. He was pissed as shit because he knew I was right. And you know what? We still filed the EEO.
I have seen a carrier go to ask a postmaster a question about something, just something to do with that day, and the postmaster literally put their hand up in their face and for the whole talk to the hand type motion. I looked at him. I said, "That's hostile." I mean, you're going to management. You're going to go ask a question, and they put their hand up in your face. Come on now.
Yep.
That's when you tell them they'll pull back a bloody stub.
We don't condone that.
Or you step back and you say, "Are you threatening me?" Loud enough for everybody to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Get everybody's attention on the floor, so now everybody's a witness.
All right, guys, we want to wrap this up for tonight.
Yeah, I think that's enough
Yeah.
passion for the night.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about more that I can't talk about, but okay.
After show. This is why it pays our audience to come and listen to us live recording, because there's always an after show.
And a pre-show.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. And Josh, your final comments for tonight?
Like we said earlier, only 2 more weeks. Stay safe. Take your time. Do it right. Don't get yourself overwhelmed. If you do, step back, take a deep breath, and step back in. Try and have a good week. We'll see you next time.
James.
We get very passionate when we talk about what our leadership is doing. And some people get upset at us for that. But the reason why is because when you don't question what's going on, you become complacent. Until we have full transparency to the membership, there's going to be questions. There's going to be issues. Being open and honest and discussing things is the only way to prevent disparaging issues with carriers. But the first step in any of that is taking care of the carriers first. And carriers, the first thing you need to do is take care of yourself. Don't let management push you around. Don't let management treat you terribly and harass you. And if you need somebody to talk to, contact us, contact EAP. There are plenty of resources out there that can help you. We will always be here to help people. So until then, just remember, we're all in this together.
Very well stated, James. Bill?
Well, contrary to what Josh says, we don't have 2 more weeks. There's going to be overflow. the way this is running right now, if you look at the supply chains, there's all kinds of stuff sitting on the other side of Panama Canal that's not getting to the East Coast. So, just do the best job you can. Take your time, be safe. Watch out for the pitfalls of delivering in the dark. If you have any moment of hesitation that you're not safe, cease and desist, go back, file a 1767. Don't be out there just because they tell you to. You're the judge of your own safety, okay? And like I say, you're the most important delivery of the day. Get your ass home to your loved ones, because that package will wait till tomorrow.
Thank you, guys. Yes, we all are very passionate. We want to see better for the future of the craft. I know myself, especially as a new regular, I want to see better over the course of my career. And I know every single one of you do too. And on that note, we're going to close for tonight, and we will be back next week.
As her parole officer, I wouldn't clarify it that way.